Today I'd like to introduce this Ingredients IC LoRA. Its biggest advantage is that a single reference sheet can simultaneously control characters, props, and environments, allowing the model to generate new videos while maintaining overall consistency, instead of recreating everything from scratch in every shot. In this video, I'll not only show what it can do, but also install it, test it in real-world scenarios, and see whether it actually lives up to the hype, and what pitfalls you should avoid before using it. And this time, I won't be using any high-end hardware. And the workflow itself is designed to run in an environment with 8GB VRAM and 32GB RAM, so we'll also see how far this kind of more typical hardware setup can actually go. Make sure to watch until the end. Hello, welcome to Smart Vision. On this channel, I keep sharing the latest AI tutorials and practical tools. All workflows, materials, and resources from this video are on my Patreon and are available to download after you register. For supporters, I provide extra professional tools and deeper guides. If you like this content, consider subscribing and supporting the channel. Now let's get started. First, let's look at the results. All of these clips were generated using the same ingredients reference setup. Across different camera angles, different actions, and even different scenes, the goal is simple. Keep the character, clothing, and key elements consistent. Some examples work surprisingly well. Others start to break once things become more complicated. So before judging the results, let's look at how it works, install it, and see whether it actually holds up in real testing. So what exactly is Ingredients IC LoRA? Here's the short answer. It's not a traditional character LoRA, and it's not retraining the model. Instead, you can think of it as giving the model an extra layer of structured reference during generation. Normally, when generating videos, we give the model one or more reference images. That works fine for simple cases. But once you start changing camera angles, poses, or adding multiple reference subjects, things often begin to drift, characters change, outfits shift, and props stop matching. Ingredients IC LoRA tries to solve that problem differently. Instead of treating the reference as just an image, it attempts to understand separate elements inside it, like the character, clothing, props, and even parts of the environment, and keeps referring to them throughout generation. The goal isn't to recreate the original frame, it's to generate something new while keeping the overall identity consistent. So the character can move, the camera can change, the scene can evolve, but ideally, it should still feel like the same character, wearing the same outfit, in the same world. You can think of it like this. A normal reference is giving the model a photo. Ingredients is giving the model a design sheet. In theory, that should make video generation much more stable. But whether it actually works in practice, that's what we're going to test next. Speaking of references, this reminds me of a tool I've been using recently. Sometimes an idea appears when you're away from your PC. Instead of writing it down and forgetting it later, I've been using my phone to turn those ideas into visuals immediately. So this is GenTube. It's an app where you just make art. It's a fun and endless way to create surrealism, fantasy, cyberpunk, and try out different colors, compositions, and styles. All for free, no limits, and instant. You don't need to be good at anything to make something awesome. You type whatever's in your head. It shows up in like a second. If you don't love it, you just hit it again, and again. There's no cost, so you can be picky. When you find one you like, you can edit it. Change a thing, add a thing, take something out. It's the part where it actually starts feeling like yours. You can also just throw a style at it. Cubism, Baroque, cyberpunk, stuff you'd see in a museum basically. Honestly, this is how I learned what half these styles even were. Then there's swipe. Same idea, different versions. Mood, lighting, vibe. You think you know what you want and then you swipe and go, oh, actually, that one. You don't have to start from scratch either. If you see something cool, you remix it. Same image, your spin. This saves you from sitting there staring at an empty box. The whole feed is just other people doing this. You can see what they made, what got remixed off it, who has the most inspires, and lots more. And your own stuff lives on your profile. After a few weeks, it kinda becomes a little gallery, which is sort of the best part. Yeah, that's it. There's no cheaper, faster, easier way to make real art online, not even close. Open it and create in the first 30 seconds. Head on to gentube.app. If you're bored or curious, come make something. Links in the description. Let's start with the installation process. First, you'll need to install comfyui. This workflow is built on comfyui, which uses a node-based workflow system and also supports low VRAM mode, making it relatively friendly for lower memory GPUs. Installation is straightforward. Just search for comfyui on Google, download the version for your operating system, and complete the installation. Once installed, open the workflow I provided. If you see missing nodes, don't worry. Click the comfyui logo in the upper left corner, go to Extensions, select Missing Nodes, and install all missing dependencies. After installation, restart comfyui, and the workflow should load correctly. As for the required models, I've already compiled everything in the notes included with this release. Simply download the listed files and place them into the appropriate folders. After installation, let's take a quick look at the workflow. Don't worry, although this workflow looks like it has a lot of nodes, the core logic is actually pretty simple. The overall process can roughly be divided into several parts. The first section is Settings. This is where you provide the ingredients reference, including character, clothing, props, and scene information. You'll also configure the prompt, video resolution, frame count, and generation parameters that control the final output and style. The second section is the Olama part. Its job is to convert the user's input prompt into the format that Ingredients IC LoRA expects. For example, prompts like this. It describes what each part of the reference sheet represents, whether it's a character, an object, or part of the environment, and also generates descriptions for the actions and motion in the video. Finally, we have the video generation section. This is where Ingredients IC LoRA actually takes effect and generates the final video. As for the parameters inside the Ingredients Reference Guide node, you can simply hover your mouse over them to see detailed explanations. For example, frame IDX determines at which frame IC LoRA starts influencing the generated video. By default, it starts from the very beginning. In practice, you usually only need to modify a few things: the reference sheet, the prompt, the output resolution, and the video length. Most of the other parameters can stay at their default values. Now that we understand the structure, let's move on to testing and see whether it can actually maintain consistency. Now that we've gone through the workflow, let's begin testing. This time, I'm not only going to show the best-looking examples. Instead, we'll gradually increase the difficulty and find out where the limits of Ingredients IC LoRA actually are. Let's start with the basics. Test 1. Single character consistency. Here, I'm using only one character reference and asking the model to generate different camera angles, viewpoints, and slightly different poses. Let's look at the results. In most cases, the overall appearance of the character remains fairly consistent. The hairstyle, outfit, and major visual features are preserved. But the consistency is actually a little too strong. The facial expression ended up looking a bit stiff. Just kidding. I forgot to specify what expression the character should have. So when an AI model becomes very strong at maintaining consistency, you might also need to describe the facial expression explicitly. Now let's increase the difficulty. Character plus prop consistency. In addition to preserving the character, I want the model to remember the object they're holding. This is usually much more difficult than a simple character-only test, because the model not only has to recognize the person but also understand the relationship between the character and the prop. Let's see the results. In some cases, the props were preserved better than I expected, but there were also situations where the object was replaced or became distorted. Let's push it even further. Multi-element control. This time, I'm providing character, clothing, and environment information simultaneously. In theory, this is exactly the kind of problem Ingredients is designed to solve. The prompt used is a man walking slowly in the bottom right corner of the background, carrying a backpack on the right side of the image, drawing a bow and arrow located at the bottom of the image. As you can see, the model does an excellent job of rendering the clothing, character consistency, and scene details. Although there is a very abrupt scene cut later on, it doesn't get in the way of practical use. You can see that the model genuinely tries to maintain overall consistency. However, as more constraints are added, flexibility also starts to decrease. Some scenes become more stable, but in others, compromises begin to appear, such as simplified background details or more conservative character motions. Finally, let's perform a stress test. Multiple characters plus dynamic action plus camera cuts. This time, I intentionally had the characters perform larger movements while changing the camera angles. This is also the most error-prone scenario where models usually fall apart. The results are quite interesting. In some shots, consistency remains surprisingly strong. But when the motion becomes too complex and the scene contains too much information, drift starts to appear. So based on these tests, it's clearly not magic, especially since the other character wasn't reproduced correctly. I also told them to fight, but they just ended up waving hello. Guess the AI is a pacifist after all. However, compared to simply feeding the model a single reference image, it provides a noticeable improvement in maintaining consistency across characters, clothing, and other visual elements. That said, I also discovered several limitations during testing. So next, let's talk about the pitfalls you should know before using it. Next, I think this is probably the most important part of this video. What are the actual limits of this model? Because if you only look at the promotional materials and demos, it almost feels like it can do everything. But once you actually run it inside a local workflow, whether you can still get the same results is another story. When I covered MSR a couple of weeks ago, some viewers pointed out that I hadn't tested enough edge cases. So this time, I don't want to only show successful examples. I want to find out where this model actually performs well and where it starts to break down. Hopefully this can save you some testing time and help you avoid a few unnecessary headaches. So let's get straight into it. 1. How many elements can it reliably handle? From my own testing, the most stable setup is around 4 elements total. 1 character plus 2 props plus 1 background. At this level, the consistency is generally pretty reliable. But once you add a 5th element, it becomes much harder to reproduce everything accurately. You can still occasionally get good results if the character motion stays simple, but the success rate drops to roughly around 1 out of 10 attempts. At that point, the time cost usually isn't worth it. 2. Keep the motion relatively simple. Since the underlying base model is still LTX 2.3, complex actions remain difficult. Once the motion becomes too aggressive, consistency starts breaking down no matter how strong the reference setup is. 3. Don't set the resolution below 720p. LTX 2.3 was trained primarily on video data at 720p and above. If you generate below that resolution, character consistency drops off quite noticeably. Model selection also matters. For these tests, I'm using the distilled FP8 model, so everything can run on an 8GB VRAM GPU. The trade-off is that multi-element support is weaker compared to the dev non-distill model. If you want better results, you can increase CFG in steps and generate multiple attempts. But those settings will increase generation time significantly, so you'll need to decide whether the quality gain is worth the extra cost. Finally, there's also a built-in 4K video upscaler. You can open this group here and disable the other groups to avoid running out of memory. This group uses Flash VSR. Here you can set the upscale factor. For low VRAM systems, I recommend selecting TinyLong. The required model will be downloaded automatically, and after waiting a while, your video can be upscaled all the way to 4K. Alright, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you'd like the complete workflow, optimized parameters, and a more detailed guide, you can find them on my Patreon. Your support means a lot, and is the biggest motivation for me to keep creating. See you in the next video.